Okay, I'm going live. All of you listen. Okay, so today we're going to study this one elementary school classroom by Steven Spander. As you can see here, we shall first focus on the theme part. Okay, so you see here, you see the poem casts doubt about the purpose of education to the slum children. Like Lost Spring, this poem also focuses on the importance of education among slum children. Okay, and also highlights the fact that they are not so privileged to have access to school education. Therefore, this poem also, बेटा थोड़ा सा sound कमा दो sound speed कम. Okay, so this poem also, like the Lost Spring, okay, focuses on the importance of the purpose of education among the slum children. Okay, so please have a look. It contains Spender. Spender means here he is the poet of this poem, and he is very scholastic person because he has won the Nobel Prize for literature as well. Like in India, Rabindranath Tagore. Likewise, Stephen Spender is also very scholastic as he received the Nobel Prize for literature. So he says he has given his own opinion about slum children and the purpose behind establishing such schools. Okay, what is the purpose behind establishing such schools for the slum children? The poet thinks that lives of slum children will remain miserable unless they are educated and shifted elsewhere. Okay, until and unless they have access to education, their life will remain miserable, dark, foggy. Like he has used the imagery called fog. Okay, fog. Their future is foggy. It means their future is very uncertain and indistinct. Okay, so fog is the metaphor and the image which is used for the uncertainty of future for the slum children in this poem. Okay, so the poem is a fine combination of hope and despair. Okay, the poem draws out a real picture of slum children in school after the post-World War period, and the setting is post-World War. Okay, after the Second World War, the status of children, okay, especially in the slum areas, was very poor. Okay, so this is what the poem is all about. What happens when there is no access to education? And towards the end of the poem, the poet has become very much optimistic. Okay, optimistic because he thinks that somebody like NGOs or government authorities, okay, or any beneficiary might come forward and establish school in their area as a result and provide infrastructure to the slum children. So towards the end of the poem, he appears to be optimist, but otherwise all throughout the poem, he is very much pessimist about the condition of the slum children. Okay, so let's start it. Here you see, it's a bit difficult poem, so you've got to pay attention. Okay, like far from gusty waves, these children's faces like rootless weeds. The hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weight down head, the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. Okay, see, this poem is full of imagery and metaphor. Okay, here you see gusty waves. Gusty waves refers to the place where there is sea. Okay, sea. So the children are away from by the reference of gusty wave, the poet means to say that the children are away from the lap of nature. Okay, and the poet thinks that nature plays a very crucial role in the upbringing of every children. Okay, if you are brought up in the lap of nature with lot of trees, water bodies, okay, landscape all around, it adds to the holistic growth of a child. But these slum children, they are only in their narrow lanes. They are only in their narrow lanes. There is no landscape, there is no river, there is no tree, there is no nature in front of them. They are not growing up in the lap of nature. That is why he says, far, far from gusty waves. So, gusty waves is a metaphor for nature. Okay? So, they are far from the nature. These children's faces are like rootless weeds. Rootless weeds. Okay? This rootless weeds given here, you see unwanted plants. Even their faces appear to be very dull, like unwanted weeds. Understood? That is why rootless weeds. So, their faces are compared to the rootless weeds because they are not bright, they are pale. Okay, their faces are pale. The hair torn around their pallor. The hair is so unkempt and untidy, long, big, okay, long hair. So it has come all around their face. Pallor means face, okay. Their hair is tangling on their face, okay, and look very shabby and unkempt. Unkempt means unclean, okay. Now, the tall girl with her weight down head. Weight down head meaning the girl is tall, of course, but she is the victim of malnutrition. As a result of malnutrition, her head is very, what is that, fat. Means there is no golden ratio. Okay, between her face and her head. Okay, they are not matching actually. Okay, because of this is a symptom of malnutrition. Okay, this is a symbol of malnutrition. Vijay, sit properly, not like this. Sit straight, please. Sit straight, I said. Okay, so the tall girl is the victim of malnutrition, which is indicated by her heavy head. Okay, heavy head, and she appears to be leaning down with the weight of her heavy head. It means that she is the victim of malnutrition. She is the victim of malnutrition. Okay, so the tall girl with her weight down head, the paper simming boy. The paper simming boy means the boy is as thin as paper. The boy is as thin as paper. Okay, it is the symbol of, once again, malnutrition. Okay, not only is the girl with her heavy head, but also the boy who is as thin as a paper, which is indicative of another example of malnutrition. Okay, so the paper simming boy with rat's eyes. Rat's eyes means rats have hollow socket of their eyes. Okay, if you look at the rat, you will see that their eye socket is very hollow. Okay, it's inside. Likewise, the paper simming boy, the thin boy's eye socket is like that of a rat, hollow under. Okay, so it's the symptom of, again, malnutrition. Okay, so from the first stanza we come to know that the slum children are away from the natural landscape. They are not growing up in the lap of nature. Number one. Number two, their faces are compared to the rootless weeds, unwanted plant, because as they are malnutritious, as they are the victim of malnutrition, therefore their faces are pale and they have some deformity in their body, like one tall girl with a heavy head and a boy in the class as thin as paper and whose eye sockets are like those of rats. So, number one, they are away from the natural landscape. They are growing up in a place which is not conducive for their growth, number one. And number two, they are the victims of malnutrition, which has been given with the means of two examples here. One, tall girl, and another is paper simming boy. So, you can write down some of the vocabulary if you want, okay, with pencil before we proceed to stanza 2, okay, or you can also write down later on, okay, it's up to you, okay. Again, you please pay attention to these words because they come in the exam. Like, what does the poet mean by paper seeming boy, for example? Why is the boy compared to rat's eyes? Okay, so if you learn these meanings, then you'll be able to explain. Like, you see, gusty waves means strong waves, slum children away from beautiful sights of nature. So gusty wave is basically a metaphor for nature. Okay, otherwise the literal meaning of gusty waves is the sea. Okay, sea. Next, you see, let us just paraphrase this. And before that, before we move ahead, let us see the comments on the uh, YouTube chat box. Okay. So, sorry, it will be here only. Here. Yes. So, Srusti, Ayush Nikhare, Bhargavi, Madhu, Amar, and Bijoy are with us. Okay. So, Bijoy understood the Mridula is also here. Okay, Mridula is saying like him. It was okay. I'll just I'll just check. I'll just check. How can it not be? So let's verify, right? Yeah, yeah. नहीं है. That is class 10.
All the in charge teachers of summer camp.
लेकिन it was their last
All
exam.
the in charge teachers of summer camp. All the students interested in the procedures to the school entrance. I repeat, teachers kindly send all the summer camp students to the school entrance for the dispersal. I repeat, all the teachers, in charge teachers of summer camp, kindly ensure to send each and every child to the school entrance for the dispersal.
Wait. बेटा कौन सा है? वो ये है क्या? नहीं, ये थोड़ा पढ़ा लेता हूँ. Okay, so let us focus on keeping quiet then. Okay, so it's a googly what to do. Okay, because this poem is not supposed to be out of the syllabus because it is a very important poem, but CBSE, always keeps doing all this because they think all the difficult lessons they are removing from the syllabus. Okay, so might be because of this reason. Okay, so okay, so let's quickly go through just one stanza maximum today. Okay, so keeping quiet is another beautiful poem, and here also you see the writer is, do you know the writer here? Spender, no? Stephen Spender. Yes, the same Nobel laureate. Okay, so keeping quiet, let me tell you, keeping quiet is all about what is the significance of introspection in our life. Boys, listen. After the Second World War, what happened? Like all the countries, okay, were against the like what is going on around the globe now. It's getting very tense nowadays because of Russia's invasion on Ukraine. So it was there after the World War II also. During the World War II also, there was a lot of tension about acquiring the weapons of mass destruction, and there was a lot of violence among the countries during the Second World War. Then, after the Second World War, the poet thinks that the rush for the accumulation of weapons of mass destruction, that is something which is really destructive for humanity. Therefore, he has come up with a solution in this poem. He said that the poem he says that here, if we introspect for a day, means everybody from all around the globe for a day will not go to their work. They will just stay at home and they will meditate for a while. Okay? So can you imagine what a strange situation that will be? Everywhere in the globe, he is imagining a situation where everywhere in the globe, one day no person will go step out of their house. Everybody will stop going to their workplace and they will sit for a while and introspect about what is going on in the globe. And out of introspection, they will come to the conclusion that it is through dialogues and negotiation only the conflicts can be resolved, not through violence and war. So that is the theme of this poem actually. Okay. So now we'll see. See here, the poem stresses on building a peaceful and harmonious world, because world was very much volatile after the Second World War. Very much volatile. Okay, there was no peace. Therefore, the poem appeals for fostering the spirit of brotherhood among the people of the world. The poem appeals us to stop waging war against indiscriminate exploitation of Mother Earth for vested interests. Also, the exploitation of nature. Okay, see here, indiscriminate exploitation of Mother Earth means what? Like people are cutting down trees, they are setting up industries for commercial purpose. Nature has been destroyed. So poet here protest against the indiscriminate exploitation of Mother Earth. Okay, for vested interest. Vested interest means here for commercial purposes. People are setting up industries, plants, all this. Okay, so that is against nature. That is why he also protests against the indiscriminate exploitation of Mother Earth in this poem, along with appeal for establishing universal brotherhood. Then the poem shows concern on isolation of human beings, resulting out of their selfishness. Human beings have become very much isolated nowadays. Why, you know? Because human beings are thinking about themselves only. Okay, therefore they are not interacting with others, they stay aloof from one another. That is how human beings have become isolated. The poem shows concern that isolation of human beings is not good for the humanity, because if you stay isolated from one another, then you cannot go to a peaceful solution of your problem. Means you will not mix up with others. If you don't mix up with others, then you cannot resolve your issues. That is why the poem also shows concern about human beings, isolation of human beings. Next, the poem strongly condemns nuclear and chemical wars and victory with no human survivors. The poem also shows concern or condemns about nuclear and chemical wars, because with the help of nuclear and chemical weapons, what happens? The war takes place, and war is done, means war takes place, but as a result of war, loss of human beings, loss of lives of human beings and property. As you have seen in Ukraine, a lot of people have fled from the place. Many people have died. Lot of destruction of the property. So this is the demerits of using chemical and nuclear weapons. Okay, now we'll study this first stanza. Okay. Sorry, just 4-5 lines फटाफट हो जाएगा. 4-5 lines. Now we'll count to 12. देखो बेटे, the poet is preparing us for the introspection. He said, I will count up 1, 2, 3, likewise 12, and then you, in the meantime, you prepare yourself for the introspection. Introspection means you'll close your eyes and meditate for a while. Everybody around the globe for a day, for some time, and we'll all keep still. We'll not talk. For once on the face of the earth, for once in a lifetime, on the face of the earth, let us not speak in any language. We'll just keep quiet. We'll not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. Means, while we introspect, we shall not move our body or move our arms. We'll keep quiet, keep still, not speak in any language, and we shall introspect just for a while, for some time only. So, with this countdown up to 12, the poet is preparing all of us for introspection for some time. Okay? So, paraphrase quickly and then we'll wind up. Okay? The poet wants us to keep quiet after a countdown of 12. He does not want us to move our arms very much. The poet wants us not to move our arms so much because physical activity will divert us from our introspection. Yes, from being silent. Not moving our arms also suggests stopping all kinds of weapons. The literary device pun is used here. Why pun? Because not move our arms so much has two meanings. One is we should not move our body, otherwise we will become distracted, our arms. Second one, not use any chemical and nuclear weapons. So, as the same word means two things, that is why pun here. Okay. So let's wind up. We'll continue tomorrow, and by tomorrow, hopefully, we'll wind up. Okay. ठीक है ना? Okay, thank you so much.